Okay, take two.
I hope this isn't going to be my life. This happened to me a couple weeks ago too.
Oh,
It
oh, I
might be
hope
me.
not.
I apologize.
I have a strong feeling that it's me just because technology goes wrong in my life all the
Oh,
time.
geez. Don't say that. I feel the same way. So, and you're younger than me. So,
I
so we were
it's
talking about your children's book and how old your kids were.
Yeah. So I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old who are
Oh,
both
okay.
sort of prodigious readers.
Right.
And yeah, I'd written this sort of TV pilot, which was about basically they're both very into like monsters. Like they've
Oh,
both been
cool.
sort of obsessed with monsters and dragons and all of that
Yeah.
sort of type of thing for a long while. So I'd written this TV pilot that was sort of vaguely based on my daughter and sent it out to a few production companies who said, look, we like it, but it's hard to make a family show unless there's an existing sort of IP, they call it, intellectual property. Have you thought about writing it as a book? So then I was like, that is a good idea. And I have wanted to write a book for a while. So yeah, I gave it a go. And if I'm honest, I kind of don't know why, but I thought it would be easy because I read a lot of children's books with my kids,
Yeah.
and it really wasn't. It was really it was it was really hard. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I've got a
I'm a
lot of
writer, so I can relate to that. I struggle with finding time to write or thinking anything I'm writing is worth someone reading. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
and the discipline of it, and I'm not, I'm used to writing screenplays and sometimes stage plays, but writing all of that prose,
Yeah.
I found really challenging, and it did not flow naturally. It was quite a sort of uphill struggle, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that struggle, and it was yeah, it was rewarding. And look, I've no idea whether it will ever be published or whether
Yeah.
it will ever see the light of day. But I had a
Never
very
know.
you never
But
know. You never
I
know
mean,
exactly.
I always feel like nothing ventured, nothing gained. And what's the worst that can happen? So it doesn't work out, but at least you know that you tried it. And I think that Amazon also has like a publishing thing for people that they can publish their own works too. So
Exactly. Well,
I mean, you
I
can
have
always self-publish.
yeah, exactly. So I could self-publish. That's an option. But I also had a very sort of sweet moment last week where because I gave it to my children to read. It's kind of for them. And my son came back from school one day, and I pick him up from school every day, and I said, what happened today? And he said, well, we were talking about books and what books we're reading and who our
Mhm.
favorite authors were. And I was like, oh, okay, what book did you talk about? And he said, well, I said that you were my favorite author.
Oh, that's really honest. That's so sweet.
I know. So that was kind of, that makes it all worth it straight away,
Yeah,
irrelevant of whether it ever
absolutely.
gets published or anything. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's an accomplishment to even finish a book and saying you're done with it. So,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's right. I think finishing things is actually really hard. I know a lot of actors who have wanted to try and become writers, and a lot of them will start something but then never be able to finish it. I think because
Mhm.
they're so used to reading good scripts and they feel that they should be able to produce something good straight
Mm,
off the bat. But
not
actually
always.
yeah, well, that's the thing. It takes it, you can be a very experienced reader and performer of scripts without necessarily being able to hit that level as a writer straight away. I think people, who have that sort of familiarity with the work have high expectations of themselves.
Yeah, well, I'm a huge reader, and I mean, I've written about, oh geez, how many years? Since I was a teenager, I've been writing about like people and bands and authors, whatever. But writing like a book is way different than writing like an article. So it's a
Yeah.
pretty high expectation. So
Yeah, but I think you're absolutely right. I think anyone who is able to finish, well, anything, whether
yeah,
it's an article or a blog or a book or a play or a film,
sure.
know, I think deserves yeah, deserves to feel happy with themselves.
Yeah, at least to feel satisfied in that way for sure. So,
Yeah.
you know what I really want to talk about? I want to talk about you and Outlander playing Lord Melton, Hal Grey, because I'm super obsessed with Outlander. And so your whole scene, when you're basically sending Jacobites out to be shot, and then you find out, yeah, right?
Someone's got to do it, you
Oh
know?
my God, that's horrible. Well, I mean, the books are like, it's very serious. There's a lot of stuff going on in those books. There's a lot of factual history, etc. So, I mean, I'm sure that that was a reality. And then you find out, that who Jamie actually is, and you've obviously heard of him because of your brother. So that's kind of like it's like almost an intense scene because, Sam Hewen's character Jamie really wants to be dead. He wants to be shot, because Claire's gone and he's like, what, that's it. He thought he would die at Culloden. So yeah, I mean, so doing that scene, being in that scene, like what kind of emotions, like what did you have to bring to the table for that? Like to get into that character, and how did you prepare for that?
I think it was a really, well written character and a well written sort of sequence of scenes because obviously there's then also further scenes, when he meets Jamie later on, and I think what I really enjoyed about that character was, clearly he's a man who takes his duty and his responsibility very seriously.
Absolutely.
He considers himself a man of honor. And I think what's always interesting in any scene is when you have characters who are struggling with conflicting emotions and conflicting responsibilities, because if you're just one thing and you're like, I'm a bad guy who's going to kill these people, or I'm a good guy who's going to save this person, which happens a lot. That is, the way of many characters, but it's sort of just one thing. And I think, with Hal, you have this great struggle where,
Absolutely.
his duty, his responsibility as a soldier is to execute these prisoners of war, because that's what he's been told to do. They probably
Mhm.
don't have the sort of the space or the food to sort of feed and look after these people. They don't want to release them to become, people who will fight against them again. So you've got that
Right.
responsibility on one hand, which is a sort of professional responsibility. But then you've obviously got this side story with his brother where, he knows he's dealing with a man who essentially saved his brother's life, which gives him a conflicting
Right.
responsibility
Because there's a debt to be
that is
paid.
not professional, but that is
Right.
personal, and there's a debt to be paid, um, which is great, and I think it makes it a really lovely moment, a lovely sort of moment of struggle. And I think what you see with Hal there is that although his job and his profession, his military career is very important to him, ultimately, family is probably the
Right.
most important thing in his life, and
I would
and he
agree.
he values, the life of his brother and also the honor of the family name,
Mhm.
perhaps beyond even his sort of professional responsibilities.
Right. Yeah, they have a lot going on in that family, the Gray family, that's for sure. Did you
Yeah.
read any of the books before you did that character, or did you just are you? I know that I talked to one actor and he said that he doesn't like to read like what the character should be because he wants to be able to bring what he needs to bring to that character.
Yeah, I think I probably feel similarly to that actor in that there's always a danger because usually screen adaptations are going to be a bit different to
Oh
the
yeah,
book in some way, and there's always a danger that you sort of will read something in the book that you fall in love with and that
and
you
they don't
sort of
put it in.
yeah, that you decide you're going to sort of attach to your character that actually doesn't necessarily fit with the version that they have on
Right,
screen. And I've had that where I've, read something in history or read something in a book, and I've been like, no, wait, but this guy's like this, and the directors had to say, no, that's them in the
right.
book, that's not them in our
Right.
film or in our
So, right.
TV series. So. I didn't actually. I sort of dipped into the first Outlander book a little bit, which Hal isn't in, just because I was interested and really enjoyed it. And I watched the first sort of couple of series to try and
Yeah.
get an idea of the
Oh,
tone
good.
and the world, which was
Yeah.
great. But yeah, I stopped short of reading the sort of the Hal passages in the book.
Yeah.
But it just felt exactly that they can be misleading, and maybe it's nicer just to sort of start with what you know you have.
Well, he's such an important character in the Gray family. And I don't know if you're going to be able to tell me this or not, but I'm going to go for it. Um, are they bringing you back because you're part? He's kind of a big part of that whole story with Benjamin, his son, marrying the, I'm going to pronounce her name wrong, Amaranthus or whatever. She's like her name's like a flower name, but like, supposedly he's dead and all this stuff. So, are you going to be back for 7B or 8, or you can't tell me? It's a big secret.
I'm not allowed to say. I'm
Okay,
a.
well that makes me happy though, because you didn't say no, so I'm totally fine with that. Okay. Woo!
Yeah.
Now I'm excited.
So
Okay. Well, I'm gonna
I would
definitely
love. I would love. What can I say? I
don't
guess.
say anything you're gonna get in trouble for.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get in trouble. I'll leave it. I'll leave.
We'll talk. We'll chat. I'll email you
Leave it
after I
down.
watch those next season. No problem. That's cool. I'm very excited. Um, so most of the people that I've talked to that have been on Outlander said their experience has been really great. What was it like working with, like Sam Hewen, who's like such a wonderful actor in person? Like the people that you met, your experience on set with cast and crew, like how was that for you?
It was great. Everyone was so nice, and obviously, I am not a massive part of it. I would have loved to
Yeah,
have
but
more.
important. You're still a really important character.
Yeah, I mean, there's two elements to it. There's obviously the actual filming of it, which
Sure.
I've probably only ever filmed. Well, I can't tell you exactly how many, but not a great deal of days on
Right.
Outlander. But the cast, the crew, the whole production, everyone was incredibly welcoming. Most of my stuff was with Sam,
I'm
who
jealous about that.
was lovely and just like really, really easy to work with. And
Right.
then David, who equally was really
Yeah.
lovely. And I met him when he'd
Both really
just
nice
been
people.
cast. Yeah, I remember meeting him when he literally came into the like makeup and he'd just been cast as Lord John. And I think he literally just landed from like Australia or something.
Oh,
And
right.
I don't think he had any idea what he was about, to experience. But he again, really, really lovely guy. And I already knew I'm sort of old friends with Stephen Cree.
Oh, yeah.
So, so
He's
he,
kind of a crazy person. He's really great, but he's a little
there's
crazy.
no kind of about it. I
I'm
mean,
just trying not to be like offend anybody.
no, it's
I've met him a couple times, and he's definitely like I. Sometimes people tell me that I'm a lot and I'm extra, but I think he's
yeah, he's
in all good ways. But
he's a look, I love him to pieces, but when I first met him, he was incredibly rude to me. And I won't tell you the
really,
exact words, but yeah, he used some quite extreme profanities to sort of to talk to me and talk about me.
I can
Um,
I can relate to that. He said the F word to me, so
oh yeah, I mean
I was
that's the
like,
very bottom of his repertoire, the F word. That's
I was like,
that's
okay, sorry.
yeah. No, but then I realized that that is just his way. He has a very
Oh yeah.
particular way. And anyway, we've become very good friends.
Yeah,
I could talk
I
for
mean, I
ages.
love him, but yeah, I'm really glad he doesn't drink actually. So,
I could wax lyrical about Stephen for a long time. But anyway, he had sort of talked to me a little bit about the show and what it was like. And so obviously the second part of the whole experience is then the fan base, and I
so
don't think
big
I'd
and
ever.
devoted.
Yeah, I'd never been in a show that had that type of following, I don't
Yeah.
think. Um, and suddenly, despite again, being a pretty sort of small part of it, I suddenly had, twice as many followers on social media and people commenting on me and still have people who just, say nice things about my home baking on like
Aw.
my Twitter page and
I
stuff
did.
like
I saw
that.
your cake. Did you make that?
I did, yeah,
It looked really good.
it tasted better than it looked.
Oh,
I'm
that
a
probably looked
very,
pretty good to me.
keen amateur baker.
That's
But yeah,
okay.
the following is amazing. I went, I did my first sort of convention
Oh yeah.
last year, which was great, and met a bunch of fans who had sort of come over to Edinburgh for a tour of the Highlands, and
Oh, cool.
there was a bunch of sort of Outlander actors who had sort of gone up there to surprise them, and
Oh, that's even better.
yeah, and it was amazing actually because I've been acting for a long time, but I haven't had a lot of opportunity to sort of interact with
Hmm.
fans in that way and to get a sense of what the show, means to people. And I remember talking in particular to one woman, and I can't remember what her name was, who was talking about how she had lost her daughter to cancer sort of in, previous years, and how, she really sort of lent into the world of Outlander and really enjoyed that escapism,
Oh,
that sort of opportunity to transport to another world and lose herself in something romantic and
yeah,
fantastical and obviously of a period drama. And I think, yeah, to get a sense of what it means to people and
right,
the
right.
ways in which, because I think, look, it's very easy to think that all actors are essentially sort of, vainglorious assholes who are doing very little to help the world, and are probably
It might not
not.
be obvious what you're doing to like make the world better, but I mean, it's obviously done that for, not just that woman, but other people as well. So,
Yes, and look, obviously I would never, not comparing myself to like a nurse
right.
or
No,
or
it's just a different, it's
people.
also a
Yeah,
different,
exactly.
yeah, it's
Exactly. But just to get some sense of how the work is received and what it means to people, was
well,
really
I yeah, I
really
mean,
great.
I've been obsessed with bands and music and musicians like forever, which is why I have a radio show. But I never was into like a TV show like this or want to like go to events and meet people or meet Diana Gabaldon. And I've done that. And I'm not a joiner. I don't want to be in like a bunch of clubs. Like that's not my thing. But I've really enjoyed, going to all these events, not only just meeting actors who've been so kind and so wonderful with their time, but meeting all these people. And I have all these friends like all over the US and abroad, and
Yeah.
we all like kind of try to go to the same things together. So we're gonna have to, when this all ends, we've been talking about it. We're like, what are we gonna do? Are we
Yeah,
gonna
there's a
like all go to
community.
Hawaii together, or yeah? So it's just been, yeah, it's been a community and a sisterhood mainly. There are some men there, but it's mostly women. But yeah, I've really really enjoyed it, and I talk to some of those women like daily.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
follow my show. And then whenever I get an Outlander actor, they're all gaga about it, which is great. And then they watch my interviews or listen to my interviews. And then, yeah, it's been really fun. I've had a really good time.
No, it's great. It's great. And it seems to mostly be quite a sort of positive, nurturing community because there are certain shows, I think, which also have communities, and sometimes those communities can end up being problematic or
Yeah, well, that's
toxic. And
that's
then,
any fandom. That's any fandom.
yes,
There's
yeah,
bad apples
that is,
everywhere.
of course, of course. But
Yeah.
my feeling with Outlander is there hasn't been a great deal of that element. Like it
No, it's not. It's
seems,
not.
as far
I
as
mean,
I see.
I haven't experienced a lot of bad things, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, exactly. Like from what I've seen, it seems to be mostly a sort of, a positive.
sometimes there's some weird like jealousies and things, and I'm just like, but I don't engage in that. When I go to those events, I'm there to meet all the actors, have the best time of my life, and be with my friends, and like pack as much as possible into those few days,
Yeah,
and run
yeah.
around like a lunatic, getting in lines and meeting people.
No, but it's great. It's great.
It's fun. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. So
Yeah, and it should be fun, and that's
yeah,
what is nice
and
about it
like
is I think.
and like that woman was saying, like it's an escape. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's great, and I think that's exactly what it should be.
Yeah, exactly. But I also want to ask you some stuff about yourself. So, what made you decide to be an actor? Like, was there a point in your life? Were you young, or were you just like, did you fall into it? Was it always something you wanted to do?
I think. think from a pretty young age, it was something that I was pretty keen on. I remember loving TV and film and theater. My mum took me to go and see Les Miserables,
Oh yeah.
um, the
I've
sort of
never seen
music.
that, but I mean, I know the basic premise
Yeah,
of that.
you
That's
know,
not a very happy theater.
no, and I was about six. I think I was about 6 years old, and my mum was like, "Oh well, he won't enjoy this, or
You
we'll
won't
leave it."
remember. We'll just take them.
Yeah, exactly. I was sort of, I remember like just being transfixed by the whole
Yeah.
thing. Live theatre, being like, "What is going on?" I obviously had no idea what was going on because I was 6 years old, and
Right.
the French
But you knew
Revolution was
something important
beyond
was
me.
going on.
Yeah, but I think I
Yeah.
felt the magic, and that
Yeah,
escapism that we were
absolutely. It's
talking
definitely
about,
magic.
that really appealed to me. So I've always loved it. I've always loved that
Yeah.
magic of creation and imagination and
Same.
escapism and playing. So yeah, I did acting through school. I sort of did acting at university, and then yeah, it was tricky because I had a few options. I did pretty well at school and got sort of decent qualifications, and my father was very, very anti me becoming an actor because actually
Yeah.
he had been a producer for a while, so he knew how
Oh,
difficult the sort of the sort of industry was, and he, advised me very strongly against it, and never really gave me any help within the industry. But I was sort of, yeah, I think I was just determined to at least try it. And I did. I tried
yeah.
it, and I've been trying it ever since.
Well, I think you're doing a really good job. I mean, I thought you were really, really good as how, honestly. I mean, we wouldn't be talking if you really over stuff.
Oh, thank you. Well,
Yeah, right.
yeah, it's it is a difficult industry. Like my dad
Oh
was
yeah, I'm
was
sure. I'm
was
sure.
right. Like it's tough. It's a tough industry to make a good living in, and this year in particular has been, really hard for a lot of actors. I've been fortunate that I have a sort of part in a regular show at the moment.
Yeah. What regular
But
show are you in right now? Are you in, is it that Grace show?
yeah, exactly. Grace is a sort of show, a cop show.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't think I can get that here unless I buy something else. But yeah, I saw that you were
Yeah,
in that.
it's on something in the States. Is it BritBox or
Is it BritBox?
something like
Okay,
that?
I'll have to look because I think I just let my membership for BritBox lapse because I wanted to finish the Shetland series, you
Oh,
know,
okay.
before Doug left and everything.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
they
if you like Shetland, you might like Grace. It's a sort of
okay. I
similar.
like
There's a similar vibe.
Shetlands. Yeah,
Yeah, it's crime. It's sort of set in Brighton, which is this
yeah.
sort of fun, pretty
Okay.
seaside.
I'll try to find it then. Then I also saw, is there a movie coming out called Rivals? Are you in that?
So Rivals is a
Is that a
TV show.
series? It's a
It's
series.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a TV series.
Okay.
And it's an interesting one because
Based on a book by Jilly
it's
Cooper?
based on a book by
Yeah.
Jilly Cooper, who in the UK was quite a massive phenomenon in the
Okay.
80s. And I don't think it crossed the pond at all. I don't think she's really been heard of in the
Okay.
States, as far
Yeah,
as
I'm
I
not
know.
familiar with her, but that doesn't mean anything.
She wrote this series of quite naughty books in the 80s.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
gonna have to look her up then.
And they were kind of like some sort of a precursor to 50 Shades of Grey,
Oh,
but
okay.
a bit more wholesome. Basically
Yeah.
about lots of sort of rich polo playing, um,
People doing all kinds of things
men
they
and
shouldn't
women
do.
in the Cotswolds having affairs. And it was funny
Okay.
because when I was sort of growing up in the 80s, all of my sort of slightly fruity aunts would have, and they were big books, like a copy of
Oh yeah?
Jilly Cooper, which usually had a couple of sections which were particularly well thumbed, if you get the meaning. Um, and anyway, this production company who I adore got the rights to these books and have turned them into a big series for Disney that
Right.
launches,
I
I
saw
think,
that. I
in
watched
like
the
2 weeks.
trailer.
It's really fun.
It's got a lot going on.
It's got a lot going on, and absolutely loved work. So I've been working on that as a writer.
Oh,
Um,
you're not acting in it,
and
you're writing in it?
I'm not acting in it, not
You're
yet.
writing. How interesting.
We will see.
Well, now I'm intrigued. Now I have to watch it.
I've watched the first series and I think it's a hoot. It's
Okay.
like I sort of feel like it's a sort of viewing that people might need at the moment, where it's really fun, it's fast, it's naughty, it's sort of funny, it's frothy. Um, yeah, it's a romp. It's like a fun
If it's
romp.
escapism, I'm probably in. So,
If you like the 80s, if you like romance,
oh,
if
yeah,
you like
I mean, I
something
like
that
the
just
80s. I was a
picks you up
teenager in the
and
mid to late 80s.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's such a great period, you know, the clothes, the music,
My
the
God, yeah, I
hairstyle.
miss the clothes and the big hair.
Yeah.
I miss that.
And they did such a good job of capturing all of that. So
Yeah,
we'll
cool.
see. I mean, I hope it's gonna be, you know, a big hit, but of
Yeah,
course
that would be
you never
great
know.
for you.
Yeah, fingers crossed, but
Yeah, definitely.
we'll
So
see.
let me ask you about like your process. Like, when you audition, like I know I asked you about like how you prepare and everything, but like, how do you get into a character that, let's say, is not, you don't necessarily like the person or like the character that you're going to portray? Like, how do you wrap your mind around that, portray it in the way it should be portrayed, even if you're like kind of like, "Ah, that's not really like my thing."
I think like as an actor, you obviously the sort of the basic requirement is that you're putting yourself into other people's shoes, you know? So even if there's a character where like Sam Hoare, are like this guy is a piece of work and I
Yeah.
can't like justify any of his decisions or abide what he's doing, you know, you have to put yourself in his shoes and think, well, how is he justifying himself? You know, how does he
Mhm.
see what his actions are? What are his reasons for doing these things that other people might think are abhorrent? I mean, actually, funnily enough, you know, the character that I'm playing in Grace at the moment is not always that likable, you know.
Yeah.
Mm, but, you know, when you're playing it, you have to sort of you have to find the rationale. You have to sort of find the reason why someone is behaving in that way,
Oh,
you
that's
know?
true. Like you're right. Like the underlying cause. Sure.
Yeah, you know, is it that that person is scared? You know, is he a bully because he's scared and he's insecure, or is he a bully because he was bullied, or is he,
Yeah. Trauma
you know,
response. Sure.
yeah, like there's, and you know, you have to find those, explore those possibilities,
Interesting.
and you know, invent a backstory, work out why you think it is that this person might have got to the point that they're at.
How are you about like, or what's your feeling about, or do you method act? Because some people, like I saw an article that Lady Gaga, she's in that new Joker movie with Joaquin
Yeah.
Phoenix. And I didn't read the whole article, but it says something like she never came out of character. And her poor fiance, I guess, was like, wow. I mean, and I know that like in the past, like even Daniel Day-Lewis has been like a big character actor, which I guess after a while that's kind of annoying if you're around it. But do you think is that something you do, or is that something you don't need to do?
To be honest, I think it's not something I've done. But then there haven't been many times where, if I'm honest, I probably played characters who feel incredibly different from me.
Hmm.
And I think where method acting can come in really useful is when there feels like a big gap between you and the character you're playing. So
Okay.
for a basic example might be an accent, for example. Like I haven't really done that much work where I've had to do a particularly strong or difficult accent, like an American accent or a sort of regional, you know, British accent. But if I was and I was playing a sort of substantial part that required an accent, I think it's quite possible that I might stay in that accent all
Um,
day because
might
it
be
just
easier.
helps bed it in.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, yeah, I mean, my feeling about method acting basically is, you know, I've got a lot of respect for people who have that discipline and that
And
craft.
that would be really difficult.
Yeah, to be able to pull it off. The only thing I would say is, you know, I have occasionally experienced actors and heard stories of actors who are doing method acting to such an extremity that it is making life difficult for other actors or
Right,
crew members.
right, right.
And I think that's where I would probably draw the line. I've got no problem if you want to stay in character and do a voice all day or all week or whatever you want to help you sort of feel rooted. But if you're doing something that is making life uncomfortable and difficult for your sort of colleagues and fellow
Mhm.
professionals, then that's a different thing.
Right. So, this little different question, but who do you love or idolize from TV or movies? Like, did you have an idol when you were a child, or is it someone current that every time you see them, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to follow this person on social media and watch what they're in? And
Oh
do you have
God. I
anybody like
mean,
that?
there's loads. There's
Oh,
just
really?
so many actors
Oh,
who, and I'm probably not, I'm not necessarily about following someone on social media and that type of
mhm.
interaction. There are loads of actors who, if they're in a film or a play or a TV series, I want to see what I want to see it basically.
Can you tell
Uh,
me like one or two?
gosh, I sort of feel like irresponsible singling
Oh,
someone
well,
out. Who would I go for?
like what movies have you loved and you love the person in it?
I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, who you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
I think
Oh, I
is
loved him in Last of the Mohicans. Woo.
yeah, great movie. I think he's a good example of someone who's just always really interesting to watch.
Super versatile too. And then he scared me in that other movie. What was it? One where he was the oil guy. I can't think of what the title is.
There Will Be Blood.
Yes. Oh my God, I hated that. But he was good.
Yeah,
But at the
he
end,
was brilliant.
I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah, he's incredibly versatile and
Oh,
sort of
right. And
interesting.
what was the
And
other one? The New York one with Leonardo
Gangs
DiCaprio.
of New York.
Yes. Sorry. Apparently, I can't remember any titles. Gangs of New York. That was a wild movie.
Yeah, and right, and look, I there are sometimes I might watch him and I'm not so sure. I sort of feel like maybe it's a bit too big or he's gone a bit too far, but he's always incredibly bold. And I always, if I see he's in something, I always want to see what it is he's chosen to do. So
Um,
sometimes there are actors who I adore, and I might think they don't always get it right necessarily, but I'm always interested to see what it is that they've done.
yeah. Yeah. I never used to be obsessed with like one actor or one actress, but I have to say that, because of Outlander, um, I like to see what Sam's doing. I like to see like if he's in something else, I like to watch that. And then and also Katrina Balfe because I saw her a couple of years ago in Belfast and
Mm,
I made my husband go to it with me at the movie theater. And we went to the one that had subtitles because sometimes I put on the subtitles for Outlander because sometimes the Scottish accent I miss stuff.
yeah.
Clearly I'm American and I don't know what everything they're saying. So
Oh, well,
yeah, we did the
not just
subtitles and
you.
it was
It
it was amazing. The whole
was a great
Irish
film,
thing.
Belfast. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. And then I found out after that, not that this is super important, but I'm gonna tell you anyhow. When I was my parents had lived in London when I was 6 months, 3 months old or 6 months old. They were transferred to London. So we from Pennsylvania. So we went to London. I lived there till I was almost two. But I had Irish, like a friend of my mom and dad, and my auntie Noni and my uncle Bo. Noni and Patty, no, Noni and Patty, that's right. So they, my mom and dad used to get Christmas cards, like that were like IRA related Christmas cards. I guess that's what they sent them. And
Right.
my parents don't speak Gaelic or anything, but my auntie would translate the cards for my mom and dad. Yeah, and
Okay.
then I found out years later, like she kind of disappeared off the face of the earth after the 80s. They didn't know where she went. She would still send, I think she got divorced, but she would send these Christmas cards to my parents. But then they moved to Vegas, and then after the mail was no longer being forwarded, they didn't get it anymore. But for a couple of years they did, and she would put a fake address on the card. So my mom thinks we don't know this, we can't confirm it, and I don't even know if she's still alive because my parents are in their 80s. But yeah, my mom thinks she's part of the IRA.
Wow.
I know. I was like, so yeah,
That's a good auntie story. I like that.
yeah. Thanks. I just want to share. And I had an English accent when I got back from. Obviously, my sister and I did because she was 4. when we moved to my parents moved to Pittsburgh, and of course I lost it right away. But my mom said all the neighbors would come over because they love to hear us talk. So
It's very popular in the States, the English accent.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. One of my friends married an Englishman for a little while, but I think it was the accent.
I went traveling a little bit when I was around 18, and I actually worked in a hotel outside Boston.
Oh no way.
Um,
Well, that's a different accent.
yeah, well, I mean the waiters would get a little bit sort of pissed off with me because I would always get slightly bigger tips than them just off the basis
Oh,
of the accent.
I could see that.
Yeah, it always went down well.
Yeah, yeah, but Boston's a totally different accent.
Yeah, yeah. Well, then obviously, I have to do audition tapes for American jobs quite often, and yeah, the amount of different accents in
Yeah.
America,
Well, I have
it's
cousins that live just outside of Salem, Massachusetts, and whenever I used to spend time with them when I was younger, my parents would hate it because I'd pick up their dialect because I like dialect, so I just pick up whatever people are saying. I guess I don't know. I just
you
do
should
that.
be an actor, clearly, if
Well,
you've got a
I
good
was an
for
actor in high
dialects.
school. Well, if you think about it, broadcasting's kind of acting too. So
Yeah, it is. It
yeah.
is.
So, and I'm actually working on not that it's super important, but I'm working on voice coaching right now. I might do some voiceover work. Hopefully, so.
Yeah, nice. Well, if you're good at dialects, that's a great start.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if they were any good, but yeah. What did I want to ask? So, if you have free time, because this kind of sounds like you're super busy, like, do you have any hobbies? What do you do in your free time? Assuming you have them. I know you said your kids like to read, so do you read?
Yeah, I read a fair amount. I mean, I think there's not that much free time in between
Jobs?
acting, writing, looking after the kids, walking my dog. Should we make an
Oh,
appearance? Come
yeah,
on.
yeah. Pick them up. Aw, what's the
Probably
name?
can't see her very much
I
because
can see him.
this is Ronnie. She's
Ronnie.
she's a miniature schnauzer,
She
and
is adorable. Hi,
she's
baby.
kind of fast asleep. She's a bit like, why have you woken me up
Are you
to
picking me up?
bring me onto film? But you
I can see her.
deserve your moment.
She's really cute. Oh,
Um, so yeah, walking the dog. I mean, I play a lot of sports when I can. I play squash, I play tennis, I play
oh
football.
yeah,
Um, and then I obviously go to the theater a lot.
yeah.
Go to the theater a lot, go to a cinema a lot. I'm excited because
Oh my
it's
God, I'm a big movie fan. I like to go to the movie
yeah,
theater. I like the whole
yeah,
experience, the popcorn, the pop, the dark lights.
yeah. It's about to be the London Film Festival,
Oh,
which
no
is
way.
exciting because there's
Exciting.
about 10 days where there's just like all the sort of new films out.
Do you and your wife go to those?
Well, my wife's doing a play at the
That's
moment.
right. You did say she's doing a play. So you're both
Yeah,
actors.
yeah. Well, she, I do my best, but she's a really brilliant actress.
Is she?
So she's doing a play about Roald Dahl at the moment.
Oh, I know who that is. Yeah. He
Um,
his children's books were not always really, super good for kids.
no, well, that's very much
Like
what the
James and the Giant
play
Peach. I used
is
to read, my
about.
parents read that to me when I was little. Yeah.
Yes, and they're brilliant, but also
Yeah.
problematic.
Yeah.
And
There's always like a story and a lesson.
yes, well, he as a person, I think, had some yeah, quite
Didn't
serious.
one of his children die when when he was married to Patricia Neal? Yeah, I think that's probably. I don't know a lot about him, but I'm sure that affected
Yeah.
him. Okay, so I'm almost done, I promise. So here's one of my last questions. What's a little known interesting tidbit about you that you wish your fans knew or that you
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. This is
I
nothing.
I like to
There's,
like ask the hard ones sometimes.
yeah,
But
God,
I know
okay.
it's hard.
I mean, there's nothing that interesting about me.
I wouldn't say
Uh,
that.
B, I still sort of the idea that I have fans still sort of I find that sort of difficult to get my head around.
Uh,
Um,
I'm
what
sure, but I
might
think it's kind of cool.
what might people have any interest? Okay, I went to school with Prince William and Prince Harry.
No way. Did you know
Is
that?
that interesting? I did. Yeah, I don't now.
Right. But like
But yeah,
they were like friendly acquaintances, that kind of thing.
yeah, I actually went to two schools with them.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Okay, I love
that's
that. That's a good answer. I'll take it.
is that okay? I
Yeah, it's
can't
okay.
think of anything
You
better than
passed. You're good.
yeah.
Do you
Sorry,
ever see Princess Diana with them?
I did. Yeah,
Oh, I just loved her.
yeah. She was
Such a
a
lovely
really
person.
nice woman. I mean, I was obviously very young. I think I
Right.
met her probably when I was about 10. I remember
Yeah.
sitting next to her
That's so cool.
at a cricket match once. I
Yeah.
think me and William might have been in the same cricket team or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was kind of how you hoped she might be, just very nice and
Oh,
sweet and
yeah. Beautiful and sweet. My brother went to college years ago at the College of Worcester in Ohio with David Bowie's son, Duncan Jones.
oh, that's good.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you
And
go.
I think they were in lacrosse together. And I think he busted out my brother's knee.
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
have to double check my remembrance of that. But yeah, my brother's like, oh yeah, I went to school with David Bowie's kid. I'm like, huh? I was like,
That's
David
right.
Bowie? Are you kidding me? Yeah. So that's kind
Nice.
of cool.
You got lots of interesting family
Oh
connections.
God. Well, my auntie that I was talking about, my aunt Noni, and then I promise I'll let you go have a life. She lived in the same neighborhood as Pete Townsend from The Who.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then she would say to me, "Oh, I used to see him every season when it rained too much, and his house would flood, his basement would flood, be outside swearing." And she sent me his autograph before I kind of like really knew who the Who were because they're kind of one of my favorite bands now. But she sent me his autograph in like 1985, and then they had Live Aid with the Who and everything. I was just like mesmerized, and my sister's like, "I've been trying to get you to listen to this stuff for years." But yeah, so I was super into them. My mom's like, "You have his autograph. You have the guitarist autograph." I was like, "Oh shit!" So yeah, so yeah, so he used to live near my aunt, but in Twickenham, I think. I think that's it.
Oh yeah. Nice.
I don't know if he still lives there or whatever, but
It's a lovely
yeah,
part of
yeah.
London.
So that's my little, I guess, Europe story. But but my parents
Nice.
lived like all kinds of different places, and they lived in Hawaii and London and whatnot. So.
Moved around a lot. That's why you're
Well,
so
I
good at
wasn't alive for the
accents.
Hawaii part yet, right? I wasn't alive for the Hawaii part. But my brother was mad because my sister was born in Hawaii, and then we lived in London, and he was just born in Pittsburgh. And he was mad that he didn't go anywhere. So,
Nice.
yeah, right. That's probably too much about me. But anyhow, thank you so
Oh, no.
much for your time. I think you were very interesting. I definitely am going to check out your show, Grace, and I'm going to keep my eyes open for the last parts of Outlander that are coming up because I guess they wrapped last week. They're done filming the whole thing, which
Yeah.
is insane. And yeah, and I
But
think
spin-offs, right?
you're
Spin-offs,
right. Blood of my blood.
sequels.
True, true, true.
Yeah.
That's not the same, but it's okay. I'll take it. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know if you looked at the internet or social media at all, but like people are like freaking out already, and we still have the second half of 7 and then all of 8, which I don't think we're going to get to see until sometime late next year. So I'm just
Yeah.
but
Difficult to think that it's coming to an end.
all good. But sadly, all good things do come to an end. So
Well, that's what they say, right?
yeah, I think it's kind of true. I mean, I'm not a big fan of good things ending, but I mean, yeah, I just think there's not much you can do about it. But I think it's really launched the careers of a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah,
like you said, I think the community and the relationships, hopefully will maintain.
I think they will. Yeah. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. You were super interesting. I'm very psyched that I got to talk to you. So
Well, thanks for being interested.
absolutely.
Yeah, it was really nice to talk to you, and I think I think you are definitely more interesting than I am.
Oh
Maybe it
my God. Thank
should
you.
have
But
been me
I'm just
interviewing
I'm
you
a girl
next
from
time.
Pennsylvania. That's all.
Lots of very fascinating family connections.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I told that story about Pete Townsend at to Sam Hewen. Like we were all sitting around a round table and he was like, "Oh, okay." And all the girls are kind of giving me a really weird look, like shut up and nobody cares.
no, I think
Yeah.
it's
I was like, because nobody was saying anything and you're supposed to be talking to him. And I was like, well, I can carry this whole conversation if you need me to. And if you talk too much, they tap you on the shoulder. So
Oh, okay. You got to
like
tap
it's
them.
someone else's turn, yeah. So
Oh, you're not getting a tap from me.
Oh, well,
But
thank
very
you.
nice to meet you, Judy. And
Yeah, nice to
yeah,
meet you too. And if you ever want to come back on the show, just let me know. We can talk about whatever you're going to do, next. So
great. Thanks so much for having me. Take
you're
care.
welcome. Have a great night. Thank you.
You too.
Bye
Bye.
bye.